This show is sponsored by PaidToPlayToday.com. Start living life to the fullest. Get a free basic membership at PaidToPlayToday.com.
Coming at you live from Salt Lake City, Utah, Paid to Play TV, episode 19. And now your host, a man who is so fired up about executing. If you don't execute, you're executed. Garrett J. White.
If you've been watching YouTube recently, you'll know what kind of video I'm talking about. You know, I'm talking about the Old Spice guy. I thought I'd throw a little scarf on. My name is Garrett J. White, the Executioner. Thanks, Adam. Chop your heads off. Kind of reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. My daughter's really passionate about that movie recently, and the Queen of Hearts is like, off with his head! Anyways, this is Pay to Play Television. I am excited as your host, Garrett J. White, the authentic entrepreneur. And guess what? I'm coming at you a little raw. I'm coming at you a little real. I'm coming at you a little relevant. And thank you, Roy Williams. As we move on to our show here, we're going to introduce the main focus of our message today. Last week we talked about feedback. This week we're going to talk about LA Looks Hair Gel. This show is brought to you by LA Looks Hair Gel. Thank you to our video production team who still lives in a world in which their hair uses gel. Hey! Got it. Let's move on. Our point today is execution. What does it mean to execute? There's been all kinds of books written by this. Guy Kawasaki wrote a book called The Art of Execution. There's all kinds of different ideas and principles around it. But today we're going to get really focused on what execution might mean in your business. And I'm going to reference it along the lines of one of my favorite authors, favorite mentors, and Jedi Knights in the conversation of marketing your business. And his name is Seth Godin. Seth Godin, holy cow, love his books. One of the books he wrote recently was a book called Linchpin. It's actually his newest book here in 2010. Absolutely blew my mind. Not anything new necessarily, but he used some phrases and some framing of the way he languaged it that made absolute sense to me. One of the conversations he used in it, dealing directly with execution, was this idea of ship it. I'm around entrepreneurs all the time who ask me, Garrett, how do I get clear about my product? How do I get clear about my offering? How do I get clear about what I'm going to offer the marketplace? How do I get clear about my target market, the problems I'm solving, the people I'm serving that problem to, and the passion I have in the middle? How do I do it? Here's the answer. Ship it! What do I mean by ship it? It means put out some kind of product into the marketplace immediately. Like 2 minutes ago, you should have a product out. And right now, you should have product out. And then 2 minutes, you should have product out. And 2 days from now, you should have product out. The internet world has allowed for us to be able to ship at a rate we've never been able to ship before. What happened?
Look what you're wearing.
Green? On a green screen? What will I look like?
It'll be like arms and a head. You want to just keep going?
Let's go.
Okay.
Also, speaking of shipping, I just realized based on my recording crew that I have a green shirt on a green screen, which means right now my color is nothing. Watch this. My arms are floating. My arms are floating. My head is floating. That's why the scarf's here, so you can actually see that I have a head. Because the green screen is going to blank out my green shirt. Thanks, Neil. Way to catch that before we started recording. This is the point I'm talking about. We're here doing a show, and we are shipping. We're not worried about whether or not you can't see my shirt because it's green and the green screen is green, and here we are, and I'm disappearing. Woo, woo. Anyways, execution itself then is about putting product out. Putting product out creates clarity. Clarity ensues power and certainty. Power and certainty allow you to create even more. So the formula is very simple. The concept of what you're looking to create, you first get to start in the idea of what we call the idea frame. The idea frame then leads to what we call concept. Concept leads to framework. Framework leads to product, service, and experience. Now, I can't take credit for this model, this little idea cycle of creation. My main man, Garrett B. Gunderson, New York Times bestselling author of Killing Sacred Cows, and one of my brothers from another mother, taught us that principle. So what does that mean to execute then in the marketplace based on this idea of shipping with this cycle of creation? Pretty simple. I start with an idea. Maybe I've got an idea for a product with my business, a marketing strategy, a way of selling, a different demographic or target market to go after, or I just want to start a business. In that space, then I move from idea to concept by putting it on paper. As I put it on the paper, I take one step closer to executing. Once it's on paper, I don't have to create some stinking business plan and da-da-da-da-da. Most of what you do, and my friend Brett Harvard, who wrote the book 5 Laws That Determine All Life's Outcomes, one of the best business coaches I've ever met. Brett says, he's my coach and Gary Gunnarson's coach for years. Brett says that the idea of everything you know being put down in a business plan, it tells you everything you already know. And the biggest dilemmas to creating the business that you've always wanted come from the questions that you're not asking, not from the information you already know. Does that make sense? So we ask better questions. This is why I don't worry about a business plan at Concept. What I create in Concept is nothing more than an idea on a napkin, in a journal, on an iPad, or whatever the game is, right? I sit in a place and I look at that conversation and put it down on paper. This takes it to Concept. Concept then moves me to Framework. Between Framework and Concept is where I thrash and I execute. In the beginning stage of every idea, execution happens in between these two. Framework, Concept. That piece of the pie right here requires you to thrash like crazy. Have you ever taken a fish out of a bowl, laid it on the counter, and watched the fish just go? Or maybe you just saw me and you envisioned it was a fish going. Nonetheless, in that space with the fish thrashing, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's moving and adjusting frequently and rapidly as fast as you possibly can. Meaning to get to a framework of a product, service, and experience requires me to thrash my way to framework by using video, text, and audio online. I use the tools available to me to flush out my ideas. I've heard from some of my mentors that your best ideas are 7 or 8 layers deep, which means your first 2 or 3 ideas, guess what? They suck. They suck. And if you're married to your first couple ideas, you're in trouble, because beneath those ideas is a better idea, a better idea, a better idea, and the greatest idea, your idea that's in alignment with your soul purpose and ultimately the key to getting paid to play in your life. So to move from concept to framework then requires you to thrash. How do we do this? Easy, flip cam. Easiest way I know. Take out a flip cam, a Kodak ZI-8, and actually HD flip memo, or Minnow, whatever one you want to use. Take out a camera and start recording yourself every single day. Put it up on your blog and talk about different principles and ideas from your business and ideas around this new product, this new solution you want to offer the marketplace. Second idea then is to use audio, okay? Or to set up and go to blogtalkradio.com, set up your own free radio show. You'd be blown away at how credible people think you are based on having a radio show. You can even have an internet radio show, a free internet radio show for that matter, on Blog Talk Radio, and tell people, hey, listen, would you like to be a guest on my radio show? All of a sudden, people who wouldn't give you the time of day and are like, screw you, you stink, I'm not going to lunch with you. All of a sudden, like, oh yeah, I'll be a guest on your radio show. And the funny thing is, the only person listening to the show may be you after the show on a recording. But nonetheless, in the beginning, what it does, it creates a framework for you to thrash. So there was one idea with audio. The third idea with text then is to actually create different documents within your blog, or typing up in your blog your different comments, ideas, and thoughts about this new idea you're looking to create. Again, the idea moved to concept. The concept to framework is about thrashing, putting it out in text, putting it out in audio, and putting it out in video. 2 very powerful tools to put your content out and distribute it as far and wide as you possibly can to get the greatest amount of feedback. There's TubeMogul for video, as well as Traffic Geyser for text and audio. So as we look at those 2 different tools, Traffic Geyser and TubeMogul, you can set up accounts with them. Traffic Geyser costs you a bit. TubeMogul, you can set up a free account as well as a paid account. This just distributes your content fast. So I take one video, put it on TubeMogul, hits 50 different sites, besides YouTube. Make sense? I use Traffic Geyser to push out documents, articles, etc. I can take posts off my blog, push them out as articles. So those thrashing ideas are the principles I want to talk about today. Execution itself is about producing results. It's about being done better than perfect. Done better than perfect. You sit around and talk about your business for 15 years. Next thing you know, the industry left you behind, and all of your great ideas now are worthless ideas, like the idea of a rotary telephone. Hey, I got an idea. Let's send smoke signals to each other. Hello? Get moving in here to the year 2010. Who knows where it'll be next year. So execute today. Find one idea in your business, something that you have currently been talking about for a while, you've been bragging about to your friends, and you've been hanging out around the water cooler at work, and or you've been at your family reunion saying, I get it, a good idea. It's like my friend who thought he created this Twister game for the bed. Like a bed sheet, and the head post was like the spinning thing meant for couples, etc. Got it? You know what I'm talking about? We were in a store one day and they actually had it. Not going to talk to you about what kind of store we were in, but we were in a store nonetheless, and in that store there it was. Your ideas are already being had by someone else at the exact same moment that came to you. The difference between you and the other person is who is going to execute and thrash the quickest. It's not the greatest ideas that make it to market. It's the ones most thrashed and most executed. So find that idea today, execute along your way, and remember this. If getting a business in alignment is where you're at in your life, or if taking your business to the next level is where you really want to go, you really got to understand the principles of getting paid to play. Paid to Play itself is the key sponsor of this show every single week. It is my passion. It is my legacy. If you are unfamiliar with what the Paid to Play conversation is, go to paidtoplaytoday.com and check out how you can get a free membership with us for 30 days and playing in the game that will absolutely revolutionize the way your current business operates, or will give you the tools and talents and skills and abilities to launch your business successfully for the very first time. My name is Garrett J. White, the Authentic Entrepreneur, telling you thank you very much for being here in this episode. God bless and be authentic.